Hi YouTube, welcome to another Webflow tutorial. In this episode, we're going to explore how to externalize your custom code. That means having your code somewhere other than the Webflow native code editor. In fact, you can do this on any other website builder. This is just about having your code stored somewhere and a way to reference back to it. Now, this can be great to organize your code, especially if you're using the same code across, let's say, different pages, or if you're using a lot of characters in your code. Now, I know Webflow recently increased the character limit from 10,000 to 50,000. However, this is still a limit that you might hit, so you would want to find ways to externalize your custom code. Now, there are many use cases. We're not going to go over all of them. Today, we're going to explore 3 different ways to externalize the custom code. We're going to see how they perform, how these ways differ, and which ones can be the best for fast performance and fast updates. So without boring you with all this talk, let's get to it. Let's see these in action. So let's begin. This was a project that we did on day 6. We did this GSAP animations with a reloom component. So if we look at the live version, this was the animation, just some cards stacking. And we wrote some simple code here. So we wrote this scroll trigger code, and we're going to use this as an example in today's video. Now, this code is not that long to have it externalized, but again, this is an example for the sake of showcasing how we can do this. So let's start by exploring the first method. So to externalize your code, you can have it in a text file that is uploaded on your Webflow project or any other source that you'd like. You just upload a text file and then you refer back to it with a link. So let's see how to do that. Now, first, we're going to copy the code itself. So we're going to copy all this part and we're going to save this. And I already have a text file created. So if we go to Finder, let's look at Finder. So as you see, this is a text file with a TXT extension format. So inside this file, I have my code. So it's the same code that I had there. So let me just paste the new version. Okay, and I'm going to save this. And then I'm going to go to my Webflow asset where I usually upload images. And there I can upload documents, as you can see. Or I can go to all asset and just click on upload, and I click on the scroll text. And now that it's uploaded, I can click on this gear icon and copy the link to it, the source link. So let's copy that. Let's go back to our page settings and scroll down. So here we're going to go to the script, and in the first part, we're going to add some settings. So this will be type text / JavaScript, because it's a JavaScript code. And of course type equal, and we'll have the source, which will be the link that is the one that we just copied. So now we have this script here, and this is basically referring back to the GSAP code that we just removed from here. So now if we save and publish, we're going to see that this works just as well as when it had the code pasted in the code editor. So if we go back to the live version, we refresh and we scroll, you see it's just working the same way. That's basically how you can externalize your code into a file that you can upload on Webflow assets or any other source that gives you a link. Now, of course, this might get hard when it comes to updating the code because you might have to go back and rename the file for a new version and then upload it again and then get that link, the source link again, and then update it here. So this might get messy and takes a long time if you are updating the code constantly. I wouldn't recommend this method, but we're going to explore different methods on how to externalize our code. So method number 2 is externalizing our code on GitHub. So first we're going to go to our GitHub account. So you have to create a GitHub account and you create what's called a repository. So I have a repository here called general, and I was testing this with a script file, but I deleted it. So I'm going to go to add file. And I'm going to create a new file. And then here I'm going to bring in the code that I have. So I'm going to copy this code and I'm going to paste it here. And then I'm going to name my file, and I'm going to name it scroll.js because this is a JavaScript file. Now I'm going to commit changes, and I'm going to click on commit changes. So I can see here my file is right here, scroll.js. If I click on it, I can see my code is right there. And I can see the path. So this is general/scroll.js. Now to call this on our code on Webflow, we need a middleman, some sort of a middleman, and that will be JSDeliver. So let's go to open a new browser, JSDeliver. So we go to jsdeliver.com, and it basically reacts as a middleman between GitHub and Webflow, and that's what is going to help us use the code that we just uploaded there. So we go on JS Deliver and we go on GitHub, and as you can see, this first link, we're just going to copy that. We'll go back to our Webflow project and we'll go to our code here. Now, instead of all this stuff, we're just going to delete all this, and we're just going to bring source, and we're going to paste in this code that we just copied from JS Deliver, and we're going to update it a little bit. So first, the user will be my user account, so that's Yaroshidi, and then the repo or the repository. So let's go back to GitHub. So the repository is called general, and the file name is called scroll.js. So if I copy this path and I paste it here, now this is just a file name, I can delete this part and call general. So first it's the username or the account name, and then the repository name, and then the file name. And of course this JS Deliver link that we just copied from their website. So let's save and see if this works out fine. So if we go to the live version, we scroll through, you see it works out fine. It did have that lag, and I think that takes a bit of time because we just created this. But if we refresh again, see that it works instantly. Now this is a great method because you have everything stored in the cloud on your accounts. But when it comes to updating, so if I update anything here and I commit it, I might have to wait a long time till it gets updated on my Webflow project, or I might have to change the file name or create a duplicate or fork it or do other files, so that I have to keep updating the versions every time I make a new update. Now, this can still get messy after a while, going back and forth, changing file names, getting the version names. However, if you're not updating your code that often, then maybe this could be a good option, but we're going to explore more options now. So let's go back to our Webflow project. Now we're going to explore codesandbox. Codesandbox is another tool that we can use to externalize our code. So if you go to codesandbox.io, and as you can see, I've been testing out some stuff on my account. So if you go there and create an account, you get this dashboard here, and we can click on create, and then we can click on JavaScript, and then we can call this scroll trigger, and this will be unlisted and will be saved in draft. So let's create this sandbox. Now, codesandbox also have their own pricing plans based on how many times you use their tool. So perhaps you need to check that if your code is being used a lot and if you're using this extensively. So maybe you need to check the limitations that codesandbox have. Now we're using the free account here. So our code is very simple and we're using this just for the sake of example. So what we need to do in codesandbox is create a new file. So we go here and create a new file. And this could be our file. So this will be scroll trigger, right? So let's call it scroll trigger.js. So it's a JavaScript file. And here we paste in our code. So let's bring in the code and we paste it here and we click save. Now to get this code on our Webflow project, we're going to copy this URL here. We're going to go to Webflow. We'll go back to our page settings. And instead of this source, we're going to write this URL here, but we're going to add this path to it. So we're going to go to our scroll trigger.js file that we just created, and we're going to right click. We copy relative path, and then we have our link. We're just going to have this at the end. So it's going to say scroll trigger.js after the link that we just copied. So let's go back to Webflow and do the same thing. So here, this is how it's going to be. And then if we save and publish, we're going to see how this works out. Go to scroll trigger, refresh. You can see that this updates. Now, the great thing about codesandbox is that it instantly updates if we make changes to the script. So for example, if let's say I remove this animation for card number 1 and I save and I go back to my live version and I refresh, I can see it right away took that update, and now card number 1 doesn't animate anymore because I deleted that part, and that was really quick. So if I bring it back, I save, all I need to is just to refresh on my live version. I don't even have to go to Webflow to publish again. You see it works again now. So that's great. Now finally, my favorite way to externalize the code on Webflow is using Slater. Slater is an app that has been made with Webflow in mind. Shout out to the Edgar Allan team who made this app. So let's explore how we can externalize our code with Slater. So first we're gonna go to apps and we're gonna look for Slater. So you can see here we have Slater. It's connected, and if you don't find it, you can go to the marketplace and connect it to your account. Then we can see this page here. We can assign in with Webflow. So I already have a Slater account, and we're gonna access it now. So we go to Yar's workspace. Just gonna authorize it on all the projects. Now, as you can see, I have this code editor here. This is a code editor here, and you have Slater AI. So you can chat with Slater AI to help you with your code. So let's copy our code from the text file. Let's bring in the code here and paste it, and we can click save, and we can click save to staging. We're gonna name the file. Let's name it scroll. And now to embed this, we're gonna go to connections, and we're gonna select scroll.js, and then we're gonna click on copy, and we're gonna go to our page settings here. We're gonna delete this part. We're gonna paste in this Slater code. We're gonna save, and then we're gonna publish. Now if we go to our live version, the code works fine. And again, if I go back to Slater, now this is the cool thing about Slater, is that again, just like codesandbox, it updates right away. So if I delete this part, let's say, and I save to staging, I go back to my site, I refresh, you see it updated already. And I will go bring this back, and I save to staging and go back, refresh. This works just fine. Now to use Slater on a live website, you'll need to get a subscription account, and that's to use it on production. But on staging, you can use it for free, test out your code, and then once you're ready, you can purchase the membership and use Slater on your live site. Now there's more into Slater, but we're not gonna get into the AI stuff. I've made other episodes before on Slater. We've used Slater on many nice use cases, and we might make more episodes on this. But for now, this is how you can externalize your code using Slater. That's basically it for today's video, and I hope you guys learned something today, and I hope you guys enjoyed this video. If so, please give it a thumbs up, subscribe to the channel if you're enjoying this type of content, and do drop a thanks. We activated that feature. It says thanks. Check it out, and see you tomorrow in day 25.